Hello, and welcome to WTH Three Roses Podcast. We are your hosts, Deb and the twins. Let's talk news, politics, culture, entertainment, and WTH moments. Yep, we've got a lot to talk about. Let's get started.
Welcome to WTH Three Roses Podcast. Today is a WTH moment. For 30 years, Sean P. Combs was a performer, entertainer. He was an icon for hip hop and R&B. And now, as of yesterday, he has been indicted on 3 counts. There's a 14-page indictment page write-up on him. With racketeering, sex trafficking, interstate transporting for prostitution. Ridiculous. 30-year career and just foolishness where he's just completely messed it up because of power. That's the only thing I think. Power, and I have a right to do and treat people a certain way. So what are your thoughts?
And I want to know how many times we're going to see this before we say that that needs to be cleaned out, that it needs to be investigated and things need to be changed. Because what I'm seeing is, if you go all the way back to R. Kelly, what we have is that we have entertainers, and we're idolizing these people. We're putting them in front of our kids in order for them to be idolized and things that they want to aspire to. But there's something wrong with the industry. There's something wrong where a situation where they basically, I think the way that is set up is that you have to come in, and in order for you to become an icon, there's things you have to do. And it's affiliated with deviance. It's affiliated with sexual deviance. It's affiliated with assault and abuse. And I think at this point, after the third young lady that looks like us that we found out were basically abused, assaulted, sexually raped, and these aren't even singers and entertainers. They're just the people on the sideline trying to make it big. That at some point we need to start standing up and saying, okay, this industry needs to be cleaned up. There has to be a better way in order for you to move up the ladder outside of making people victims.
Right.
So who's to say that when Sean P. Diddy started this, that he's only perpetuating what was done to him?
Exactly.
Raped either by male, female. If the TV is correct and the things we already know that has been said is correct, you got a lot of oral sex going on. You got all kinds of sex going on. You got deviance going on all over the place.
Allegedly.
We've seen a lot come from that industry,
Exactly.
Not just for rappers, but all of the industries. It looks like that is the modus operandi in order for you to move up the ladder. And if that's the case, then all of us who make them icons by watching them and giving them access to our children to be idols, we need to stand up and say enough is enough. Clean your backyard up. Clean it up.
Exactly. And just this past year alone, there's been 34% of women that have reported abuse in the music industry. And it's not just women, it's men as well. And it's all about power, and I know this is about music, but when you have power, you can relate it back to the presidential election. I mean, when some people are in power, they take advantage of the situation. And the sad thing is that there are a lot of people involved, allegedly. And there are a lot of people that have seen the abuse, seen the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, and nothing has been said. So what I'm saying today is that if you stood by and you watched this take place, and a lot of people did, A lot of people that we support, a lot of people that we buy their music, they stood by and they watched all of this take place. Not only Diddy, but also R. Kelly, allegedly. They need to be prosecuted as well.
And if we go on, what was being said as far as the rumor mill prior to the actual arrests being made, there's a lot of big names involved in this.
Mhm.
There's a lot of secondary assistants and those kind of job roles that sat there, allowed that to happen, perpetuated it, and basically put these kids, and that's what they are when they first start out,
Right.
put them up against the wolves in order for them to then determine whether or not their moral backing or compass is less important because control, power, and the gain of fame looks so awarding. And my question is that for people who have talented children or are talented themselves, I don't think that if that is what is allegedly happening in this environment,
Mm-hmm.
that is something that we need to pull back from and not allow our children and people who are vulnerable to be subjected to that mess. And the bottom line is allegedly my problem being is in the past when we've gone through these different things and we can throw out a bunch of names, which is concerning to me. But
Mm-hmm.
allegedly, when we go through all of this and we've gotten the news and we've got the rumors and we got the XYZ, is that at the core process of this, when they were young and being brought into the industry and trying to make their way up, they were managed by their parents. Let's not
Mhm.
forget that. A lot of them were managed by their parents. And I need to understand what exactly is going on in order for us to make sure that that is not the line that you have to decide on whether or not you're going to sell your child in order for your
In
child,
order,
huh?
in order to get a payoff.
In order to get a payoff, in order to become
Mm-hmm.
a celebrity, in order to go up the ladder. That's too much. And that's too much for me. And I think that at the end of the day, I know it's salacious. I know everyone is going more on looking at, I'm telling you, when I saw that video of how he treated that child, I
Yes.
couldn't, young lady, I'm sorry. I'm
Mm-hmm.
old. So I call all the children, all the people
Right.
younger than me,
She was
children.
young. She was young enough to be our child.
It's outrageous. Young enough to be
Mm-hmm.
our child.
And the sad part
It is
about that,
savage.
right? But the sad part about that, the hotel knew the tape existed, and the tape just appeared this year?
I think it
So
was last year,
last year. So they
December.
also need to be accountable because I think he paid them off. He paid somebody off not to get rid of the tape, and they did not get rid of it. It reappeared last year, but they knew this happened at the hotel. So the hotel also needs to be held accountable.
Right, but the articles that I read is that he intimidated people. That allegedly, he had intimidated people. Witnesses. We know with violence. In this indictment, there were AK 47s that were found, and they said this right here pretty much shows you that he is dangerous. He intimidated these children, these people, men and women, with after forcing them to perform these acts. He recorded it and he intimidated them. He used it for collateral. So I will show this to your mama and daddy. I will make this public. And out of embarrassment, they chose not to say anything. But again, and going back to what Deborah said in the very beginning, is that this industry needs to come under check. We've had too many instances of these things happening across the industry, whether or not it's in music, television, actresses. It needs to be checked. There need to be investigations, and we need to get it stopped.
Because you can't intimidate a person unless you got some serious backing behind you. And I think that this is an industry that
Mhm.
breeds what's the word I want to say? This industry breeds dysfunction. That's a nice way to put it. It breeds dysfunction. And the seekers that we don't know, others know. We've slowly gotten in. If you go back to some of the old school singers and the beginning stories, they tell you about the beginning of rap in its heyday, coming up the ladder. These things are basically built based on the structure that's already dysfunction. And I have a problem with putting it all on the hands of Sean P. Diddy Combs, because I believe that he is also could possibly be a victim as well. I think it has to do with the fact that people that come into this thing, they don't know what they're getting into. They accept and put their morals on the sideline in order to go up the ladder.
Right.
Once they're there, they keep perpetuating that dysfunction, those assaults, and that disorder in order to don't know. But it goes into that whole mental health thing about being abused.
And hurt people hurt people.
That comes with that. And
Yeah.
hurt people.
Hurt people.
So I'm more concerned about not just the artist, but also the people at the head, the money makers, the ones who have the money, who dole the money, who have the actual real control over these artists. That's where I think it started first.
Agreed. We hate to see that this happened again. 30 years in the industry, came up, very influential. He helped a lot of people get to where they were. And power, caused him to get in this situation. So he's pleading not guilty. We'll see what happens. We'll continue to follow it. And again, let's clean up this industry. That's our WTH moment. Talk to you soon.